Hello, back with more ancient cosmography. Um, so this is from the 5,500-year-old Hierakonpolis Tomb 100 map of Egypt, and so at least this seems like a possibility based on the shape that that's this part right here is like this part, like the kind of peninsula there, and then the detached head would be this part, and the front haunches or whatever is like, I think this one would be this larger one, and this one would either be here or it could be back here, and then the tail would be like these kind of seamounts and islands around there. This part would be like these little seamounts or islands or something there. um, and here's a zoom in on the head. So basically so yeah, that would be like, this would be like the top of the head there, and then the little thin part would be this, and then the other part that kind of curls around would be this little island on the end. So yeah, like it lines up very well. It doesn't, like, I'm going entirely based on the shape and not so much based on its position here, because where is it? It's right here. And I was thinking that this thing is Sri Lanka, but the Andaman Islands are on the other side of Sri Lanka. So yeah, it's hard to know. I wouldn't determine this based on its position on the map, but some of these things on the map are counterintuitively placed. So this still is my best theory for this one. The Andaman Islands. But it could be something else, I guess. Let's see. This is something from, I think, Southern Africa that looks like a map. It has these, has like a dark line that, and then a yellow line. Dark line has this dark deer or something attached to it, and the yellow line has this yellow deer attached to it. So it could refer to the kind of east and west scheme of like the Egyptian maps, that like the dark line would represent the eastern side and the yellow line would represent the western side of something. But the kind of like arbitrary looking, or weird looking shape of it suggests to me that it's a map, that this, that these might be avatars for islands or whatnot, but that also these lines might be coastlines and stuff. I'm not sure if this guy could be a land avatar, or he could be celestial. Looks like he might have like snakes coming out here, like basically like the kind of Gorgon looking gods of the Mediterranean and whatnot. So this is one, this is from the oldest painted cave at Sulawesi, Indonesia. And so this figure is in there, and it's kind of the outlier because all the other figures are these larger animals. And this seems to be like a monkey. This is the only simian zoomorph. And it seems to have like his body has like stripes on it or something, or it's different lines. So I'm not sure why that is, but I'm thinking that it could be that he is Sulawesi itself, and that sans this, like that he's like this part of Sulawesi, and then he's like swinging from a vine or something, and so yeah, he's like holding a vine that he's swinging from. So I was thinking it could be based on the shape of the vine and the shape of him. Could be that the vine is actually this other part of Sulawesi, this long peninsula, that kind of curls around like that, and that the rest of his body, or his body is the rest of Sulawesi here. This being his head, and these being his legs. And that this would be Australia, that this would be Cape York with like the contours of it kind of included there. So yeah, here's the vine. So I'm thinking maybe this is the vine, and just like the way sometimes they move around the parts of these things, that they detach, so that maybe his tail is the beginning of this, and then the rest of this is the vine. It's hard to know, but could well be. I mean, when you're making an island a monkey already, you can tinker around with it a bit further, because so that basically this would be his head right here, which does look a lot similar to that. And then his two arms raised up would be this island and this island, or islands here. And then his two bent knees would be these, peninsulas that kind of go out and then come down somewhat. And then, yeah, the tail would either be just the beginning of this one, or maybe it could be something down here, like in this. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure on this. It's not like the Egyptian ones where I have the full context and everything to look at. see, this is from a astrology book I'm reading. So it shows how like the system of antipodal, infernology of like the one's antipode being sacred, like one's underworld. That basically the most sacred places are traditionally the place where you live and the place like that's antipodal to that, like the exact opposite side of the planet. So in astrology, that's called polarity. And so each sign has a special relationship with its partner across the zodiac. That's called polarity. So Aries with Libra, Cancer with Capricorn, Taurus with Scorpio, Leo with Aquarius, Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo with Pisces. This does not mean that the signs opposite each other across the zodiac circle have opposite characteristics. On the contrary, the polar signs complement each other. So this is the real underworld tradition, like, I mean, there were some, negative, like, myth stories or whatever about the underworld and positive. I mean, it was just the all-purpose metaphor, but oftentimes it was positive like this. On the contrary, the polar signs complement each other. There is a special rapport and understanding between them. Two people who, when their full charts are calculated, share an emphasis on a pair of solar signs may not always agree, but there will certainly be a special understanding between them. This theme is developed more fully in the section devoted to relationships, where is of considerable importance. For the moment, simply keep the zodiac couples in mind. As Aries is the most personal of the signs, Libra is the one. Compare sign polarity to the similar relationship between the houses. And remember that the understanding and rapport between the polar signs is worthwhile and interesting and adds a subtle dimension to sign interpretation. So, astrology is a window into a lot of elements of ancient religion that are that have been suppressed elsewhere, including this antipodal, affinity. All right, so here's one just focusing on Sulawesi and on this painting in Sulawesi. So yeah, this is from a cave somewhere here, the oldest painted cave on Earth. And so I think certainly the shape of this does match this, that it's rounded up here and then goes down at an angle. So it's like rounded angle. And then the shape of this guy does pretty much match the rest of this. There's a chance it is something else, but it could also be this. And it would make sense that Sulawesi itself would be depicted differently from all the other islands, and somewhat more anthropomorphically in the sense of being simian, being, a primate. So yeah, I don't know. To me, it fits pretty well. I mean, in some ways, the head looks like it should be pointed the other way or something, but other than that, it kind of matches. Like in some ways, it seems like this side should be this side and this side should be this side, but maybe it doesn't matter. And like this even has like a break between, so maybe this part is this and then this part is this. And this one would just be that whole thing, something like that. Although it also seems to have a break here, which doesn't exist, so who knows, maybe it's just damaged. And see, yeah, here it is. So this is the simian figure. This is the largest figure, so that's why I was thinking it would be Australia. And then I'm not sure what all these are, if this is Papua or this is Papua or what all these other islands would be. But they seem to be in the style of the, terrestrial maps of later days. Let's see. Alrighty, so I think I've identified about 150 of these like terrestrial avatars, if I include the Egyptian Bronze Age and Neolithic and the European Paleolithic and the Mayan and Aztec avatars that I've deciphered. So that's pretty good, seeing as like during the summer I had only deciphered about 10 of these. And at the start of this year, I had only deciphered about 50. So anyway, I think my phone's about to cut me off, but I do think that, this is about Finn McCool, the Celtic giant, who I think may represent Britain. And I think may represent basically Britain as this type of avatar in the Egyptian, where Britain is a giant and Ireland is these three hostages. Let me see if these are in order even. 19, 18, all right, start with. So yeah, out on the lake with them, children of Lear cry with the waterfowl over the mere, breed and seed. The pure white swan, put upon each of the children the form of a pure white swan. So Britain has the White Cliffs of Dover, so it's always been called the White Island. So these 4 white swans, this is in the Celtic. Like in the Egyptian, it refers to the 4 gods who arose from Uto or Wadjet, who I think might be Europe, which Britain used to be attached to. Then the 4 swans turned their faces towards the woman, and Fiona spoke to her and said, and Fiona, so that's like from the same etymology as Finn, so that means white also. Evil is thy deed, Eov, to destroy us thus without a cause, and think not that thou shalt escape punishment for it. Assign us even some period to the ruin and destruction that thou hast brought upon us. So, like all the islands on Earth used to be bigger, and they've been destroyed by the rising sea and storms and everything. I shall do that, said Eov, and it is this: in your present forms ye shall abide, and none shall release you till the woman of the south be mated with the man of the north. So I'm not sure what that means. 300 years shall ye be upon the waters of Derivera, and 300 upon the straits of Moyle between Arran and Alba. So Arran is Ireland, and Alba means Britain, but it also means white. I mean, it literally means white, just like Finn, just like Albion, just like in Egyptian they call him Sakami. And 300 years in the seas of Arish, then shall the enchantment have an end. Upon this Eof was smitten with repentance, and she said, since I may not henceforth undo what has been done, I give you this, that ye shall keep upon... Oh, God damn it, is this the same thing? I don't get it. Upon this, Eof was smitten with repentance, and she said, since I may not henceforth undo what has been... Oh, okay. Done. I give you this, that ye shall keep your human speech, and ye shall sing a sad music, such as no music in the world can equal, and ye shall have your reason and your human will, that the bird's shape may not wholly destroy you. Then she became as one possessed, and cried wildly like a prophetess in her trance. Ye with the white faces, ye with your stammering Gaelic on your tongues, soft was your nurture in the king's house, now shall ye know the buffeting wind. So you were nurtured as part of mainland Europe, but now you're like out there on the ocean, and you're going to get pummeled by the elements. 900 years upon the tide, the heart of Lear shall bleed, none of his victories shall stead him now. Woe to me that I shall hear his groan, woe that I have deserved his wrath. Then they caught and yoked her horses, and Eof went on her way till she reached the place of Bove the Red. Here she and her folk were welcomed and entertained, and Bove the Red inquired of her why she had not brought with her the children of Lear. I brought them not, she replied, because Lear loves thee not, and he fears that if he sends his children to I don't know how if these are in the right order. No. Then Lear by the margin of the lake. Oh, I'll just go in this order. Then they caught and yoked her horses, and Eof went on her way till she reached the palace. Bove the Red inquired why she had not brought with her the children of Lear. So the children of Lear might be the land that became Britain. I brought them not, she replied, because Lear loves thee not, and he fears that if he sends his children to thee, thou wouldst capture them and hold